Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is yours, Dave. I got a special guest, Pro Mod driver, Jon Stouffer. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. Good
So,
talking to you this morning.
how's the weather out there in Missouri?
It's pretty nice right now. We're getting a little bit of rain for a change. Pretty well needed, so we're happy about that.
So, tell us a little bit about that beautiful CUDA you got.
Well, we've got this new Jeffers Cuda we've just had out at a couple races so far this year and getting ready to go to the next one in Martin, Michigan in a couple weeks on the Midwest Drag Racing Series. So anyway, we've got the CUDA running pretty good so far, and like I said, just only had it out a couple times, so we've got a lot of room to play with. We're having fun.
So now, what year is that CUDA?
71.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car.
Thank you.
Now, how many events have you ran so far this year?
So far this year, we've ran about 5 or 6. Now we've only had the CUDA out to a couple though, so we didn't get it done in time for the start of the season. So we took the vet, and Scott Palmer, he drove it at the first couple events until we got the CUDA ready.
Now, have any events been canceled because of the COVID-19 yet?
No, none of ours have been canceled. They've all taken place, and we've been to every one.
Oh, that's a good thing.
It is, yeah.
Not like the NHRA.
Yeah, those guys had a rough season. That's really bad what all they've had to contend with. All this mess going on. I know it's been a strange year for everybody.
Yeah. A lot of people just keep saying, let's get this year done with already, so look forward to 2021.
That's right. Yeah, just scrap it and move on.
Yeah. So let me rewind the clock with you, John, and ask you, how did you get into drag racing?
Well, I started racing the first year that I actually raced was 1985, and I started going to the track in about 1982. Local track here, Mocan Dragway, about 30 minutes from me. Started going there with a buddy of mine, Kyle Powell, and his dad. His dad raced a 68 Barracuda up there then. And first few times I went, he took us, and we went up there and boy, we was hooked. I thought, man, this is cool. I got to have one of these.
Yeah, now you got one.
You bet. Yep. Yeah, I would have never dreamed back then that I'd have what I got now, but it sure is cool.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yes, they are. Boy, you get hooked on this. I tell you, it's addictive.
So what was the first car you ever started racing in?
First car was a 67 Mustang with a 200 six-cylinder in it.
What were you doing, bracket racing back then?
Bracket racing, yeah, that was my only car, my daily driver. I got it when I was about 14 and started working on it, fixing it up. Had it ready to go. Back then, Dad wouldn't let me have a V8. The only thing I could have was a straight six-cylinder because he knew what I was going to do with it. I wanted like a 440 CUDA or SS 396 Chevelle, and he's like, "No way, you're driving this six-cylinder." So I think you could outrun that thing to 60 foot on foot back then, as slow as it was. But it's the only thing I had, and we raced her every weekend.
So how long did you race the car for?
I raced it for about 2 years, and then I finally was able to get a 66 Mustang that had a 289 in it, and I built it up and used it for my race car and my street car, and finally went from having something that was so slow to something that ran right 13 flat. Back at the time wasn't too bad.
So did you have any success with the Mustang?
Oh, yeah. I had good success with it. We was at Mocan most of the time with it, and at the same time I got a 70 Boss 302, and that became my daily driver, and I'd take it to the track and run it too, and that was kind of my street racing car back then. So once I kind of got moved out of the six-cylinder thing, the V8 stuff really started happening, and things got cool pretty quick.
Now, how many years did you do the V8 driving for?
I had the Mustangs until 1991 or 2, and that's whenever I bought a Vega from Buddy Farmer. He was racing it at Mocan at the time, and I bought it from him and started racing it in the early 90s and ended up had a big block Chevy in at the time, carbureted, and that was my first tenderly injection system. I bought one of those and put on there, and man, I mean, we thought we had the world by the tail. That thing went a 918 at 150 mile an hour at Mocan in 1992 with that tenderly injection on it. And, I mean, it was just awesome. We thought that was as good as it gets. So then I went from the Vega to the first Cuda, which was a 70 Cuda, a real steel body 70 Cuda, 318 car, but it had a Hemi in it when I got it. So that was my first Hemi Cuda, actually. I drove that on the street, raced it for a couple of years, and I bought a new Ray Barton Hemi and put in it. Boy, that was the greatest thing I ever did. That Ray Barton Hemi made all the difference in the world. That car looked bone stock. I didn't take 5 pounds out of it anywhere, and went 1070 at 130 on 8-inch slicks.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, man, that was one heck of a cool street car back. That was in the mid '90s, and then that was the car that I ended up turning into my first pro mod. So we started working on that car and taking weight out of it and setting it up for a Lenco and this and that. And by the time it was said and done, we turned it into a pro mod in 2002. So I ran that car from 2002 until 2010. I had Larry Jeffers do some work on that car at the time, and then he was building a new carbon fiber Cuda Pro mod, and he talked me into going that route and getting that car from him. So I didn't really think I needed a new race car at the time, but boy, he was right. I'm glad I got it, because that's kind of what got me where I'm at now with the Pro mod stuff, was getting started in the first carbon fiber body Jeffers Cuda.
Now, when you changed the other car into a Pro Mod, how much faster did it go?
Oh, the yellow car when I made it a Pro Mod?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it went 1070 before, and then the first time we took it to Tulsa to test in the Pro Mod trim, the first day down there, it was all a quarter mile back then. It went a 797 at 100 and, I think, 78 or something like that, 180. First time out. I made that big of a move that quick in a car and that was a 4-speed Lenco with levers, blown Hemi, never drove anything like that before, and then go down there and run a 790 pass the first day. We were all pretty impressed.
Then the car after that you're talking about that Jeffries built, how many years did you race that one for?
Run that one from 2011 up until last year, until we got this new one we've got now from Larry.
The one before this new one that he built, what kind of car was that one?
It was a 70 Cuda originally, and then after a few years we rewrapped it and turned it into a 71. And it was green originally, and then it was red, and then ended up orange at the end. And then we moved into the new one now is orange.
So what was the quickest pass you made with the last car?
With the last car, the quickest pass we made was a 359 at 209 at Tulsa.
Nice.
So that's what solidified our status as what we say we run the world's fastest Cuda. So that 359 pass was pretty awesome.
Now, are you running on a screw blower?
Yeah. Yep. Got a screw blower, C-rotor on the Hemi.
So now, when you started drag racing, John, did you have any drag racers out there that you looked up to?
Oh, yeah. Well, back in the day, I mean, way back then, in the mid-'80s, of course, like Don Garlitz and Connie Coletta and, guys like that. And as far as local guys, the guy I used to go with my friend, his dad, Stanley Powell, and there's Ed Charlton and Granby and, some of us guys around here.
So was your dad supportive of you, for your drag racing?
Somewhat. He he was kind of more reluctant. He wasn't really into stuff like that. That wasn't really his thing. So he kind of knew what all was going on, but he kind of just stayed away from it. So he just let me do my thing, basically.
Did he ever come watch your race?
He did a couple of times, and that's what him and Mom, they actually wouldn't come into the track and stay there, but that's what we always talk about now. Remember, back in the day, being at Mocan, if you happen to look over and see a brown Lincoln sitting out there on the side of the road by Mocan, they'd drive up there and they'd sit there for 15 or 20 minutes and watch, and then they'd leave, but they just didn't want to come in.
Yeah, usually the mothers are the worried ones. Oh, you're going to have an accident. You can't be doing this.
Yeah, I know. Before the drag racing stuff, I was into dirt bikes, and that's what Dad, when we first started out on the dirt bike deal, he liked it. Little Honda 50, couldn't go very fast. Then I got in the bigger dirt bikes, and that's when he quit going and watching me ride those. So I think it just worried him too much.
Yeah. So now, after all the years of drag racing, John, what still keeps you passionate about it?
Oh, it's just so much fun. I mean, it's what keeps you going. I mean, you've been, doing it this long. It's just part of your life, it seems like, and all the people that we're involved with, it's just the way the drag racing community is, and everybody in the pro mod deal that we race with these days, it's everybody just kind of like family and friends, and every time you get to the track, it's just a lot of fun hanging out with everybody and having fun and getting to race and all that. So it just kind of keeps you going that way.
Now, if you could change anything in the sport of drag racing, what would you change?
Well, that's a tough one. I don't know. I hadn't really thought of changing anything. I guess one thing would be nice if everything had a little bit more money in it would be great, but it's one of the sports that seemed like it always cost more to do it than what you end up with. Some other ones, it costs relatively nothing to do, and you can make a lot of money, but drag racing seems like we have to work awful hard for what we get, but I guess the fun of it sure beats everything else.
So now, if you could have your fans remember one thing about you, John, what would you want that one thing that they remember to be about you?
Well, I'd say that I appreciate everybody out there. I appreciate getting to do this. Like I said, I never would have had any idea 20 or 30 years ago I could do this. I appreciate all the fans being out there, all the support we get from everybody, and it's cool being known as the guy that gets to drive the world's fastest scooter, and running with Scott Palmer and Rick Cousin, John Goad, the crew we've got is just awesome, and I just basically like everybody know that I just appreciate getting to do what I get to do. Real thankful.
Now, since you hang around Scott Palmer so much, would you ever want to drive a Nitro Pro Mod?
Boy, I don't know about that. Well, one of them things is wild. I may have to leave the nitro driving stuff to Scotty.
Yeah.
It sure is cool, though. I like watching it.
So what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
I'd say it's just that thrill, that adrenaline rush when you make a pass in a pro mod. I mean, there's not many people that know what that feels like to get to make a pass in a car with 5,000 horsepower that, pulls 4 Gs the whole way and run 200 mile an hour in the 8. It's just such an adrenaline rush. It's unbelievable. When you get out of that car at the end of the track, you just feel like you could just jump over the car. It's just so exciting every time. It just never gets old.
Now, is there anything you hate about being a drag racer?
No, I don't. There's nothing I can think of I hate about it. I love it. I'm just glad we get to do it.
Like, I know some guys, they hate sitting around in the staging lanes with the fire suit on, sweating for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, that does get old. A lot of the times, yeah, you get so hot sitting in the car and this and that, but it's just part of it.
Yeah, you get someone who has the oil down and you're stuck there for longer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had that happen many times. Get ready to run, and then here you sit for a while. But anyway, that's just part of it, I guess.
Now, do you think you could become a better driver? And if so, how would you achieve that to become a better driver?
I guess it's just like kind of like the old saying of practice. Practice makes perfect, or practice makes better. You just keep doing it. Seat time and anything that you're driving. It seems like the more experience you get with whatever you're doing, the more familiar you get with it. So I guess just keeping going.
So what was it like for you the first time ever getting behind the wheel of a pro mod?
Oh gosh, it was. I was so nervous. I had no idea what. I thought, my God, this is unbelievable. And yeah, it was really something to get in there and make that first run. But it took me about 3 runs to get where I'm like, okay, now I'm somewhat familiar with what's going on with this. This is an entirely different deal than I've ever been used to. But man, it sure is fun.
So was it a big adrenaline rush for you?
Oh gosh, yes, it was. Yeah, it was quite a rush. And like I said too, that was quarter-mile days back then, and with the 4-speed Lenco with levers, so you're busier than a one-arm paper hanger in one of those old cars trying to drive one of them. Clutch car, 4-speed, quarter-mile, all that stuff going on. And especially whenever you haven't done it before, it's really a rush.
Now, is it still a adrenaline rush for you every time you get in pro mod?
Oh yeah, it is. It's just something you just never get used to. It's always just kind of like the first time. It just gets better and better.
Now, do you ever miss doing the quarter-mile racing?
Not really. There's a couple of them that we could go to if, you want to run quarter-mile other than NHRA, but of course we couldn't run our blower combo. But Mel's got those, couple of quarter-mile races, or you go to Vegas and run that one he's got out there. So I haven't ran quarter-mile in years. Everything we've done has been 8 mile. I'm not saying that I would do it sometime. Mel's always invited us to come out to Vegas and run that race, and we might do it sometime. It seemed like we always had something else going at that point, and it's, a long way to Vegas. So, but no, I mean, the 8 mile deal works out good. It's as fast as these cars are anymore. To me, these tracks that you're at, you got the ability to be able to run on a lot of tracks running 8 mile that you couldn't if you run quarter, 260 mile an hour.
Yeah, you could always come up this way and run with the Chicago Wise guys up here.
Yeah, well, we may have to go up there and run with you guys sometime.
Yeah, that's where Michael Riccia came from.
Oh yeah,
Chicago Wise.
Well, we've had a lot of fun with Michael.
Yep.
Yeah, we've raced with him a lot of the PDRA stuff, and he's come and run some of our Midwest races with us too. So we always have a good time with Mike and his crew.
Oh yeah. So now, who are the crew members that keep the car going?
Well, it's Scott Palmer, Rick DeCouson, and John Goat. And then occasionally we have some other guys come help now and then, but that's the main crew.
Now, who are your sponsors?
Well, basically Stouffer Racing and Scott Palmer Racing, just basically us guys. Larry Jeffers helps us out with some stuff, and we got Darren Mayer helps out with some stuff. We got a few other guys that do a little help here and there, but as far as, like a major sponsor or anything, it's always kind of been pretty much my own deal,
Right.
Keep the car going. Financially, anyway.
Now, when you're out there on the track, John, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions at all?
Well, I pray every time before I get in that thing. So I just hoping every time the good Lord's with me. That's what you always want. So.
Yep. So have you had any accidents or close calls throughout your racing career?
Yeah, there's been a couple of things. We've been pretty fortunate though, but always try to keep it on the safe side. There's been a couple of things, but we got through all right.
Well, knock on wood, you won't have any accidents.
You bet. We don't want that. We want to go straight and fast and have fun. That's what it's all about. So
I know you haven't done too much seat time in a new car, but what's the fastest you've gone so far?
We went 378 at the last outing at St. Louis.
Nice.
So we're starting to get some stuff figured out now. I think we can start whittling a little bit at this and pick up some ET here pretty quick on it. So hopefully we'll get down here in the low 70s fairly quick. Get where we can be pretty competitive in this new car.
Yeah, you'll get that car dialed in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Scott's got a few things up his sleeve, so he's kind of got it figured out. Oh, he gets me set up on something. I sit there, I just aim that thing and steer it, and he gives me a good tune-up.
Now, is there a lot of preparation to get that car ready for, race weekend?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's always a lot to do with the Pro Mod. There's a lot of maintenance, checking things out, making sure everything's in order, There's a lot of things that can go wrong with a car like that, so you want to make sure everything's right and try to save from having any issues at the track.
Yeah, of course, you got to make sure the hauler's okay, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Scott and Rick, they take all the maintenance on the rig and all that and keep everything up. And yeah, we seem to be in good shape.
So, do you have any favorite tracks to race on, John?
Well, Tulsa's always great. I love Tulsa. We went there since we were kids. It's only an hour and a half from us, and it's one of the best tracks around here, that's for sure. They redid it a few years ago, and it's just been amazing ever since. And Todd and Keith that own the track down there, they're racers in our series, so we race with them guys every time we go out. And everything they have at Tulsa, it's always awesome. We have a great time there, and they always have a good crowd. As far as the other ones around here, the other two close ones, Mocan still runs all the time. They mainly bracket racing anymore. We haven't run the Pro Mod up there in a long, long time. Ozark Raceway Park, they're still big here at Rogersville. They've got a lot of bracket races, and they've got a few Pro Mod races. And everybody still goes up there and has a good time. That's always a fun one up there that you kind of like the old days. All the guys you remember from 20 years ago, everybody has a good time.
Yeah, it's drag racing, it's all just one big happy family.
Oh, it is. I know, that's the thing. As long as we've been doing this, you meet so many people along the way. A lot of them that you were racing with 30 years ago, you're still out there with them now. So it's funny how many of us all still doing the same thing.
Yep. Yeah.
The way people's moved up and stuff, too. It's like, talking about the old days, like Scott Palmer even, I remember back in the late 80s when we first met, and he had that Camaro with that blower on. I mean, that was one of the baddest things around here. Everybody was cruising on Kearney and Springfield, and that was the hot spot for racing. And I'd take that Boss 302 up there once in a while and street race with them guys. And of course, Scott, a couple of them guys up there, they had the baddest stuff around. You couldn't beat them, but it was just cool being there. But back in the day, Mocan and Ozark Raceway Park and all that, he was there, I was there. A bunch of us is still hanging around doing the same stuff.
Yep. So you'll probably be doing this for many years to come still, I'm sure.
I hope to. You bet I want to do it as long as I can.
Be like Chris the Greek Kermasinis.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I don't know if I could live as long as he did. Boy, there's not many people even live as long as he does, but and still be running top fuel. But I tell you what, the Greek, man, he is something else. He's quite a guy. Always admired him.
That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I need to find out what he's drinking. Whatever he's drinking.
Yeah. Now, where do you get your fire safety equipment from?
The fire suit that I've got now, I got from Impact Racing. The one I had before, I got from Simpson. And some of the other stuff, I got stuff from Stroud, Taylor. Got a little bit of stuff from about everybody.
Now, you running on Hoosier tires?
Yes, we run Hoosiers.
So for Pro Mod, you've always been a blower guy. Huh? You never done the nitrous and all that stuff?
No, I never did. Never had a nitrous car. I drove a street car one time, a friend of mine that had nitrous on it. Just just once, but I've never raced a nitrous car.
Yeah, so if you ever did come up this way and play around, maybe one time with the Chicago Wise guys, they got everything in that group. They got nitrous, they got the screw blowers, you got the naturally aspirated, they got the supercharged, they got everything in there. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's kind of like what we got going on in our Midwest Drag Racing Series. You're familiar with it, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what they got going, basically four different classes of cars running pro mod against each other, so that's the way they made the rules and everything, where, each car, it kind of gets where it equals out the class, where you can all be competitive. So, but that is pretty cool how, we got blower cars, nitrous cars, there's roots and screws and all kinds of different stuff. So it's pretty cool. We always have a good turnout at those races.
Yeah, I always watch Ellen's live videos all the time. Yeah. She does a good job.
Yeah, we appreciate them.
Yeah, she does a good job doing live feeds all the time.
Yes, she does. Boy, Ellen does a lot to help us. We appreciate everything she does. She's there every time and on the scene always. You need anything, Ellen's great to help.
Yeah, door slammers, they do a good job too.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Betty? Yeah. Yeah, Betty usually does a good job with the camera too.
Yes. Yeah, we appreciate those folks out there videoing so people at home can watch. Works out good.
Yep.
Pull it up and watch. We've got video footage later that we can pull up and see what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that helps for you guys to learn stuff out from the runs and stuff.
Yeah, it does. You can get a good look at what the car's doing, leaving, and, get a good look at the tire and, things like that. And try to solve some problems if you got them.
So now when you're in the pit area, do you get a lot of kids come in the pit? Do you throw them in the seat of the car?
Yeah, you bet. We got kids come by all the time wanting autographs or T-shirts or whatever. Several of them want to get in the car. We'll set them in the seat and put the steering wheel on it, and their mom and dad take a picture of them sitting in it. And yeah, they love it. Kids always like getting in the race car.
Now, are you one of those drivers that even if you're pretty busy, if you see fans around, you'll make sure you talk to them?
Oh, yeah. You bet. I always try to visit with everybody that I can, and be as accommodating as possible. And, we appreciate all the support and all the fans out there, and we like people coming by to see us and hang out and talk about stuff. So,
yeah,
try to do my best.
Yeah, don't be scared to come by and say hi.
No, you bet. Come by and say hi. There's usually a crowd around. With Stouffer Racing and Scott Palmer Racing, you put all us guys together, there's always a crowd in our pit area. So just come by and have fun and hang out.
Yeah. Everyone knows Scott Palmer for his throttle wax.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Boy, that draws the crowd in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think some of the other drivers are starting to do that now on, Top Fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really pretty cool. It's one of the things everybody did back in the day, and it kind of draws people in. Everybody comes around to see the cool stuff Scott has going on.
Yep.
Scott has a good time. He's always got something cool up his sleeve, so it's never dull hanging around Scott Palmer.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that car he has, Chuck Weck from the Chicago Wise guys used to have that car.
Yeah.
Yep. It was Studezilla.
The Studezilla. Yep, the Nitro. Yep, that's cool watching him and J.R. Sandlin. They both run them Nitro cars. And, boy, you get both of them side by side. That sure is cool to see.
Oh, yeah, the big header flames. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that last time, here a couple months ago, where it was, they had the Summer Nationals at Wichita, and which JR owns that now. And of course, Scott and JR both made those passes there. God, the header flames looked like they were 20 feet high off both them cars. The crowd just went wild.
Yep. They love the big header flames.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks awesome. and those burnouts too. Both them guys do them huge burnouts in them nitro cars, and of course everybody just goes nuts.
Yeah, that's what's missing in NHR, the big long smoky burnouts.
Oh yeah, nobody really does that anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame. I remember the way that watching them top fuel cars back in the '80s. Them burnouts all them guys would do. It was just so cool watching those long burnouts, but you don't really see that anymore.
Oh yeah.
Other Scott Palmer, Scott's not afraid to do a long burnout.
Yeah, back then they would do the burnouts and the dry hopping.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember even, I did the dry hops too back in the day, John Goad, he always had the VHT. He still stand there, pulls me in every time, still yet today. He was with me 1985, first time up there, he's been there every race. He was the VHT guy, do the burnout, the Mustang back up, squirt the VHT and pull up there and do dry hop.
Yep, those were the good old days.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that was a lot of fun. Yep, it's like back then, if we could have known about half of what we know now, we'd have really had it going on.
Yeah.
It's always been fun, though, I tell you. But, yeah, you think of some of the stuff we used to do back in the day, and you're like, golly, I can't believe we did that way. But, man, we didn't know any different, It's the way it was.
Yep. You always learn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're never too old to learn. That's for sure. There's always something more a guy can figure out,
Yep.
There's always a couple more hundreds left in them cars somewhere, no matter how fast we go, that's part of the deal, I guess, with being drag racing. We've all got to find a way to go just a little bit faster.
Yep. Well, you always have that need for speed.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what it's all about,
Now, when you're out on the street in your regular car, do you have a need for speed on the streets too?
Not really, not anymore. That's what I've told people. I said, it's amazing how driving a Pro Mod kind of cures your itch for, just driving around, thrashing something and flogging it on the street. You used to all the time. That's what Dad used to tell me. He said, you don't have to smoke the tires every time you leave a stoplight. You can take off, without smoking the tires. I'm like, well, I don't know, just feels good. But no, it really is something. Driving one of them things that I guess it's just so beyond anything you drive on the street that it's kind of like, I don't need to do this. Just cruise my car to town, drive the speed limit, try to be good, and man, we'll get her on when we get to the track.
Now, did you ever do any street racing?
Oh yeah, back in the day, that's every weekend. I worked on that thing all week. We street raced every weekend, or race at Mocan or Rogersville. But yeah, street racing was just a way of life, back in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I watched JD the Boss. Yeah. You ever watch JD Boss the street racing they do?
A little bit, not a whole lot.
Yeah. So now, what would you consider to be, milestones that you've reached in your racing career?
Well, I'd say one thing that was cool, running the 359 pass, running the 350s is pretty awesome. Run over 200 in the 8th mile. We've had several wins throughout the years at a lot of these events around here, getting to run with the guys in the Midwest Series and all that. We've had a pretty good time doing that. And sure would like to win a championship. That'd be my big deal there, win a Midwest championship. We're in the top 10 right now, so, we stand a chance this year. So, did win a championship in 2013. They had the Mickey Thompson Shootout Series between Ozark and St. Louis and Tulsa, and we won that championship that year. That was pretty cool. And just, several other, wins and, runner-ups. I had a lot of cool runner-ups, like at Tulsa in the throwdown. I think I'm probably the only guy maybe that's lost 3 times to Frankie Taylor at the throwdown at Tulsa. But I tell you what, when you take second place to Frankie Taylor, you still feel like you won. He is tough. But getting to run Frankie in the final 3 times now, that was pretty cool.
Now, which win would you consider to be your most memorable win?
Probably the most memorable win would be the first win that I had in Pro Mods, which was 2013. That season we won the championship, and that was at St. Louis. And we won that first shootout race up there that day. And we won 3 or 4 more that year and won the championship. But that first one was just something else. There's just nothing quite like your first one. And so I still remember after I won that, we got the car back to the pit area. We all looked at each other like, well, what do we do next? You know, we never got this far before. So it was like it was all uncharted territory, and we were just kind of trying to figure out what do you do next. But, yeah, that was one we'll never forget.
Now, would you say that win was your fondest memory of your whole drag racing career?
I don't know what you'd say. If you had to pick one, God, there's so many. I mean, I don't know. It'd really be hard to pick one. I mean, they're just the whole thing is just, you know, most all of it's just been great. So it's kind of hard just to pick one thing.
Now, have you had a most embarrassing moment on the track?
I'm sure. Yeah, there's been a few.
Anyone that stands out though in your mind that you could talk about?
I think we all have, you know, had a few of those, you know, kind of have a brain fart once in a while or something. But yeah, I mean, yeah, one time, you know, I had a round win in the bag. You know, we should have won it. We was at Tulsa and pulled up there, and I, you know, I don't know what in the world I got to thinking, but I pulled up there and ended up red lighting. And I knew that, you know, the car I was running, I didn't really have to take a shot at the tree. I thought everything's fine, and you know, I get up there and boy, I just got focusing on that tree. It had like a 003 red and threw it away. And I was like, golly, I mean, that hurt because that was one of them that you knew you didn't have to, and you still did, you know. That was kind of a letdown there.
All right, now, John, I'm going to ask you a few fun questions here before we close out this interview. You ready?
You bet.
Outside the sport of drag racing, do you have any other hobbies?
Not a whole lot anymore. Used to play golf quite a bit. We'll go occasionally, but other than that, that's about it.
All right, now, if you could time travel and go back in the time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
Yeah, I'm sure I'd change some things if I knew a little bit back then, but yeah, probably so.
All right, now, if someone were to give you, we'll say, $800 million and they wanted you to build a brand new drag race track for them, where would you consider building a new track at, and what kind of features would you want to put into that new track?
Brand new track like that, huh? Well, obviously having it closer to me would be nice. So I'd say somewhere here and around Joplin, Missouri, along I-44, something like that. You know, get something in this area. We don't want to be too close. We, you know, compete or try to mess up anything like with Tulsa or St. Louis. You know, but something in between, you know, would be a good spot. And like I said, if a guy's going to build his own, you want it to be close to you. So.
Would you want to put any special features or anything?
Well, I mean, this is just kind of something probably not that pertinent, but one thing we always kid about, especially in the summer, we thought any drag strip ought to have a swimming pool. You know, you get out there, like you said, you're in that fire suit and you're so hot, you never can cool down. We're like, God, if we had a swimming pool at the track, you could just go jump in when you get done. I mean, that'd be great. I think any of these guys that wear these 20 suits driving these pro mods know how hot it gets in there. And you're like, when you get out of the car, if you could jump in a pool of water for 5 minutes, it would make all the difference in the world.
All right. Now, what is your favorite food you like to eat?
Oh, at the track, you mean?
No, and just in general, what's your favorite food you like to eat?
Oh, just in general, I'd say steak. I like good ribeye steak, salad, and some vegetables. That's about my favorite thing.
You're a steak and potatoes guy?
Yeah, more steak and vegetables. Potatoes are fine, but I'm kind of more just on the meat and vegetables.
All right, what's your favorite beverage?
Probably have to say Bud Light. Bud Light and unsweet tea.
Oh yeah, I love sweet tea. Now, what's your favorite movie of all time?
I'll be Smokey and the Bandit, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's the stuff I grew up on. It's kind of like it. That was defining for our lives back then.
Good old Burt Reynolds and Sean Penn.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was the cool stuff, you know.
Hey bud, let's party.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sean Penn was cool back then, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. Now, what's your favorite type of music to listen to?
I like 80s rock.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, rock and roll and drag racing seem to go pretty good hand in hand, man.
Oh, it does. You bet. Get some good Def Leppard and Rat and Van Halen and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know Palmer likes that stuff too.
Oh, he does. Yep, Scott's always got music playing. He likes that good 80s rock, so.
Yeah, because I did ask him. I asked him that question when I had him on. So when you were a youngster growing up, what was your favorite cartoon to watch on TV?
Oh, my favorite cartoon.
What, you like Roadrunner?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I liked the Super Friends and Hong Kong Phooey. That was cool.
Yeah. Now, when you're at the track for a day of racing, what's your eating habits? Do you eat regularly, or do you eat very light and wait till the races are done? How do you do it?
I'm pretty light eating at the track as long as we're still racing. You know, like if it's race day in the morning, I'll have me a real light breakfast. You know, maybe make me one of them Jimmy Dean egg and sausage deals. You know, something like that.
Right.
Maybe have a light, you know, ham or turkey sandwich or something for lunch, and then I usually won't eat anything for supper if we're still running. You know, if we got 2 or 3 passes to make or whatever that evening, and I just don't want to eat till I'm done. You know, I'm just maybe grab a piece of cheese or a piece of meat or something, you know, just to get you by. But I just don't want to eat as long as I'm still in the car. And when we're done, we can kind of hang out then. Everybody has some drinks and eat something then, and kind of relax, you know.
There you go. A nice cold Bud Light and a big, nice meal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's nothing like some of them pork steaks. Boy, those are so good. I tell you what, the girls go, they take good care of us. They're making pork chops and pork steaks and burgers and everything at the track, and that's always good eating. Once you get done, there's always something there to eat.
Now, if you didn't become a drag racer, what do you think you would become?
That'd be something involving cars, I'm sure. You know, I used to always, you know, thought it'd be cool, like doing something like with new Corvettes, you know, working at the Corvette factory or stuff like that. Back when I was a teenager, you know, stuff like that. That'd be cool, you know, being involved in new Corvettes, you know, or something at the factory or design or whatever. But
Awesome. Well, John, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview today.
I appreciate you doing it.
Oh, no problem. I like to try to promote you guys best I can. Now, do you have any final words?
Oh, not much I can think of. We've covered a lot. I sure appreciate all the topics you brought up. Been good talking to you, and I want to thank everybody out there, you know, for coming and racing with us, and all the fans, and thank all the guys we raced with in our series, and Keith Haney for putting this stuff on, and Larry Jeffers, and all these guys that do all the stuff they do to make all this stuff work. A lot of guys out here sure appreciate everybody, so just glad to get to be here.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the season, John.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
All right. You have a great day. We'll do another one in the future.
All right. You do the same.
All
Thank
right.
you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.